Am I the a-hole for buying my sister's dream house? This one was submitted by Cole Brilliant 4578. My 27 female wife and I, 30 female, recently closed on our dream house, and it has the family torn. Years ago, my grandparents owned the family home, but when they died unexpectedly with a lot of medical debt and expenses, our family had to sell the house. It was heartbreaking and sad, and I decided as a small child that one day I would buy the house back. I shared those dreams with my sister. I met my wife when I was 18 and she was 21. Her parents owned a small rental they allowed us to live in rent-free, just paying for the expenses. I told her about my dreams of owning my grandparents' home, and she fully supported me. We began putting large sums of money down in hopes that someday that we could buy the house, and hopefully it wouldn't go on the market before we could afford it. Because we didn't pay rent and we both had good jobs for our ages, we were both able to put back a very large sum of money. My in-laws also offered us a sum of $75,000 for down payment, and in total, we put back about $185,000. About 20 years after my grandparents passed away in their home, they finally went back on the market at a massive price. The house itself is huge, has 6 bedrooms, a large lakefront estate, and several features, including a pool and a small guest house. We knew this house would have a huge price tag, and we skimped and budgeted for 9 years to be able to afford my dream home. My sister was also house shopping at this time, but with a much smaller budget. Her and her husband have children, student debt, and rented for the past several years, and were not able to put back quite as much money in the same way as my wife and I were. When our grandparents' house went in the market, I sent her a link and said that we were finally getting our grandparents' home back into the family. She was really excited, and that's all she said about that. My wife and I moved forward, visiting the owners and the real estate agents, having it inspected, and made an offer. They accepted, and we were absolutely over the moon. Throughout this whole process, my sister kept saying how excited she was for us to have the house back in the family, and how nice it would be for her children to know the house. She wanted them to grow up like her and I did in it. Our grandparents' house was the location of every birthday, every holiday, gathering, reunion, which is why that my sister didn't raise any red flags. Weird she'd phrase it that way, but not concerning. We had a barbecue at the house to celebrate the closing of our house. During the dinner, my mother-in-law offered to kennel our dogs while we were in the stages of moving to keep things easier and safe. And that's when my sister piped up. She asked why my dogs needed to be watched when the real issue was her kids. My wife asked what she meant when she said their kids need more supervision than our dogs, and she was confused as to why they'd be so busy and needed watching. I told her that we were confused. I didn't know that she was helping us move, and if her kids couldn't be reliably left alone to their own devices, she absolutely did not need to help us pack. My sister proceeded to ask why my wife and I would be packing. I told her it was obvious, we just closed on a house. For length of reasons, I'll leave back a lot of back and forth, but here's the gist of it. My sister had it in her head that we were buying the house to either A, rent it out to her family, or B, transfer the title into her name and have her pay it back over time. Yes, that's literally what she thought, despite us never discussing anything like that once. When I told her that was not happening, my sister threw a fit. She was pissed because this was her dream too, and it wasn't fair for only one of us to come live in it. Since she had the children, she thought they deserved to grow up in the family home, and what did my wife and I need all that space for anyway? My wife told her that this isn't the family home anymore. It wasn't left in a will, and we purchased it. Now it's our home. My sister told my wife to shut up and that she had no say in this family discussion. I informed my sister that if she spoke that way to my wife again, she would not be having any contact anymore. She doesn't get to assume that we're giving her a house and then throw a hissy fit when she's put in her place. And we left. My in-laws spoke to us a matter of a few times, but all told us we were in the right and that my sister was very out of line. I assumed that everyone would agree, but I got texts and voicemails from my parents saying that we were very out of line, threatening my sister. They told me that they were disappointed in me for taking my sister's dream and that I don't have kids, so I can't understand her need to want to provide for them with a good home and childhood that she had. That it's only fair that we set up a way to give her the house and we could afford something else. Even more distant relatives said that was cruel for us to take the dream from her. I've seen stories similar to this, entitled people thinking that they should get their relatives' houses, but I never expected to live it. It feels surreal, and I hate that we're starting this new chapter on such a sour note. Am I the a-hole for buying my sister's dream home? I don't think you're the a-hole. The house went on the market, and both of you had the opportunity to purchase it. You were the one that followed through, so you are not the a-hole. What do you guys think? Drop me a comment. If you have your own story, please share. As always, thanks for watching.